Okay, I'll just start right away. I mean, we are not going to be taking much time, and we'll just get right there. So while I share my screen, please confirm as soon as you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, once it's up, let me know.
It's up.
Yes, it's up.
All right. Thank you very much. So, my name is Elijah Afolabi, and I will be facilitating this. And I know we must have been briefed by the team for this project. So, what we are just trying to do is to educate, teachers and students, as it were, on how to stay safe online. And that's basically all we are doing. So, why do we have to have this session? Why we have to have this session is to make sure that all of us are on the same page. If one Elijah is taking a particular session, one Asana is also taking the same thing with another set of people to make sure that we're on the same page. But before I go ahead, I would just want us to maybe introduce ourselves so that we get to know each other. Like I said, my name is Elijah Afolabi. So if we can just unmute one after the other and let's get to know each other. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, someone was speaking before. Good evening, everyone. My name is Damilola Oluwalobi. I'm a research assistant, and I'm also pursuing my master's in public health.
Oh, that's good. Welcome, Damilola. Any other person?
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Favor Joe. I am a product designer.
Okay.
It's good to be here, and it's good to be part of a program like this.
All right,
Thank
Favor. Hi, Favor. Thank you very much. Yes. Any other person? Let's do that quickly.
Everyone.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay. Good evening.
Adete
Adete Oluwafemi. Okay. Somebody said I'm currently in transit. Okay. Adete Oluwafemi, if I'm correct. If I had you right. What? Kemi. Okay, sorry. All right. So any other person? Asana is in transit. So any other person? All right. In the absence of no other person, let's get to business. Welcome Oluwakemi. Welcome Oluwadamilola. Welcome Asana. I mean, those were the three people I know. I probably had. I don't know if others were speaking or you are in transit as well. So why do we want to, or what do we aim to achieve in this project? What we aim to achieve in this project is to make sure that we are able to sensitize our teachers, on how to stay safe online. And those teachers will now later go back to their respective schools to now train their students to how to stay safe online. And this is something that if you are very conversant, you realize that this staying safe online is what most of our, big tech firms are very much interested in now, because every day you hear a lot of things that are happening. And along the line too, I will share one or two things. So to introduce myself too, I think I'm just Elijah Afolabi, right? I currently am a safe online advocate. I facilitate session around online safety, digital safety, soft and employability skills. And I'm an accountant. I currently work in a fintech company. So let's get straight to this. So safe online. What do you want these people to know? The first thing we want to, please, I want us to pay attention, because this particular project, we have no other choice than to give our best while training most of these teachers. And we need to, also sound very convincing. It's important because, of course, we are training teachers and they are not just maybe people we can just, yes, they are not just people we can just, so it's important. The first thing you want to let them understand is a quick statistics. I'm somebody personally that believes in numbers, right? If you want to give me any presentation, the first thing you should be telling me is you need to make sense of, numbers for me. What has happened in the past? Why are we undergoing this study? Somebody said she's pursuing a master's. I'm very sure by the time you're writing your, dissertation or your research proposal, you realize that most of the things you're doing in research is, you want to make sense of numbers. If this is the topic, if this is your objective, how do you achieve it? Then you get data gathering, collection, analysis. So this is very, very important, right? So you want to, put things into perspective for them by going through the numbers, and you let them know this is a quick statistics that show how vulnerable our data are online, for instance. So you can look at this, for example, computer networks, phones are vulnerable to siege from hackers, viruses, and can lead to loss of personal and sensitive information, right? We all know that. So statistics has shown that it has affected more than 310,000 people. I mean, this is a statistics by Daniel J. Solov in 2022, saying that the fact that people's data are vulnerable online, it has resulted in, it has affected over 310 people and 10 banks of America. Anytime I talk about this sometimes, the next question I want to ask is, if this issue of vulnerability of data can affect as much as 310,000 people, even 10 banks of America. I mean, when you hear Bank of America, I don't know, I have been opportune at a point to, study their operations, and even have one of a colleague of mine who had worked there, for instance. These guys they are firms that spend a whole lot of money on IT architecture, amongst other things, right? So if this thing can affect them, then the question I used to ask is how much more some of us, I mean, our companies are in this part of the world that we hardly even take, our IT seriously, or having an IT that is sophisticated. So what we are trying to achieve with this particular slide is to let these teachers understand the numbers of what had happened in the past. Because I realized that one of the ways to make sense of something is when you understand what has happened in the past, and that will kind of help you make a sense of what you're about doing or what can happen in the future, right? So 310,000 people all over the world, 10 banks of America as of 2022. Now, the next thing is, even Facebook and Google are not left out. You can imagine between 2013 and 2015, Facebook and Google lost over $10 million to phishers. Those are hackers. Of course, as we go on in this slide, we know what phishers are, or what phishing is generally, right? So then the next thing is over 4.5. Then the next thing we can ask ourselves, why do we even need this? The first thing, another thing we need to know is that over 4.5 billion people use the internet. I mean, that shows, all these statistics I'm giving you as at 2022, only this over 4.5 billion people is a statistic sometime in 2023 uses the internet. So if we have over 4.5 billion people using the internet, then it tells us how vulnerable the data being shared on all this network can be, right? Then having said this, then the next thing you want to do to make sure that what you are teaching them is lively and help them put things more into perspective, then you can just let them engage in just a short game. Just tell them, if you have ever done this before, you can. If you have never done it before, you can score yourself 0. If you have tried it once, you can score yourself 1. If you have tried it, more than once, you can score yourself 2. This is just to make sure that you kind of get the attention from the beginning, because nowadays people's attention span are usually very low. So one of the things we want to do is to make sure that even from the onset, you're able to get the attention. So this is what the games look like. I log on to the internet every day, or I use the internet more often on a daily basis. If they have never done that before, they don't usually do that 0. If they usually do that once, if it is once, 1. If they do it more often, 2. But the question is, everybody uses the internet every day. I mean, that's the truth. I connect to my friends, clients, or customers through social media. Yes, almost everybody does that. I share my information on social media, and almost everybody does that. If I want to start even the game from all of us here, for instance, and just say that maybe after this, I'll just get our thoughts, and let's see if some of us even do this. And I'm very sure almost everything on this list is what we would have done, right? So I conduct a Google search. Almost everybody does that, right? Sorry, please, a minute. I'm on a meeting, I'll call you back. Sorry. So, yes, almost everybody conduct a Google search. Along the line, we understand what search engine are and how they work, right? Share the broadcast message without verifying the authenticity of the information. Oh, I put this here twice. I'll correct that. Shared broadcast message. A lot of us, when somebody sends something to us on WhatsApp, maybe there's a job opening somewhere, or something, when you see that broadcast, what do? You just share it with your, loved ones and all of that. So you may want to give them those kind of example, or at a point in time when you hear, oh, Jumia is having their 10th year anniversary, and any other you place, you get 95% off, right? That sounds good, right? And just at a click, you just pick up your phone and share it with your family member to make sure that as you're enjoying the 95%, they're also enjoying, so that everybody can, come together and join their hands to run Jumia, for instance. So many of us share broadcast message before we even verify maybe the authenticity of the information. Yes, and this is where you may also want to make sure you carry them along. How many of them usually drag people online? Maybe you drag people, or you are being dragged online, or you drop comments like, you go explain, no evidence, comrade, DJYK, those things. It's just to make sure that you are, kind of carrying them along and see maybe this is what they do. In fact, over time, this one I just mentioned, I comment. How many of you have commented? You go explain. You see that at that point, you will get the attention, right? If for instance, if it was to be a physical session, for example, you see all of them, giggling and talking to each other, and they will be able to relate and feel like, oh, I have done this before, right? Then how many of you visit website to source for information, share my PIN or password with someone? Of course. You can also want to ask that with someone, maybe your spouse, your fiance, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and all of that. I have shared a call or text message from a fraudster. Yes, how many people have received a call? Somebody mentioned your name, mentioned where you stay, mentioned the school you even went to, if possible, even the class of degree you graduate with. And after some time, you just realize you don't even know the person, right? So you may also want to put it. Then how many of you, I'm trying to make it seem like we are in a class now, like I'm taking the session, right? So how many of you connect to an available Wi-Fi, especially when it is free? You get a lot of reactions at that point. Yeah, I connect to, even here, if you on your hotspot here like this, I go connect, things like that. So this habit game is just to make sure that we get their, attention, and give them this kind of sense that whatever thing we want to discuss is what, it's going to be something interesting, and try to maybe get their attention on what we are doing, right? So that you don't have people joining your session online, and as they are joining, they are cooking noodles in the kitchen. As a matter of fact, you understand those things. Even as I'm taking this session now, somebody might be cooking noodles in the kitchen, just quickly. So to be sure you are hearing me, or you can hear me, please unmute and just say, I am here.
I'm here.
I am here. Oh.
Okay, I am here. I love that. I love that vibe. I am here. Don't worry. Okay. Let's just be serious for some moments. We'll still have to. So the next thing is, you now want to talk about very quickly is now the internet. Don't forget, the reason why we are including some of these things is because, number one, we have a module we are working with, and number two, we are dealing with, students. You want to teach the teachers so that they can go and teach the students, right? That's why we are including some of these things. If not, something like internet might not be something we would have included if we are not working with a module, and the fact that the aim of this particular project is to make sure that we reach out to secondary school students, and they learn these things. So the first thing you want to ask them, one of them, oh, you have heard about internet, what do you think internet is, and all of that. Then you get their thoughts. What are internet? Internet is a network that links computer and allows information to flow or data or travel from one computer to the other. That's what we do on the internet generally, right? You just make sure that computers are being linked together, and it allows information to flow and travel from one computer to the other. So that's what the internet helps you to do. You put on your, you put on your, MiFi, you connect to your phone, you put on your Wi-Fi. What you are trying to do, you just hear words like, I want to have access to the internet. So what that does is just that there's like a communication between all these devices that make sure that information are being shared on a particular network. As we go on in this slide, we will get more sense of it. Then going on to the internet is typically with a web browser that helps you connect website and web page. You let the teacher know that they need to educate the students. Going to the internet, the web browser is what helped them to do that. Web browser like Chrome, like Explorer, like Firefox. As elementary as all these things may sound, you may not be surprised that even some of the students don't even know these things, or even some of the teachers don't even know this. I mean, I've been opportune to go, far and wide in Lagos here, taking, sessions around, online safety and all of that, even to the Federal Ministry of Labor. There was a time I went there, these were graduates and even youth. And I was discussing some of these things. You can see that sense of, I mean, that feeling like, it's like, I'm hearing it from the first time, from the look of, the participant, or they don't even know what these things means and they just use them. So it's important they know the meaning of internet and how to access the internet, right? And of course, network connects, computers, right? So the next thing we want to talk about is still about internet. You can use it for communication, for research, for entertainment, and for work, right? For communication, we all know that you go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, what you are doing is communicating. Somebody said she's working as a research assistant, for example. I mean, I'm very, very passionate about research. I have some research works and all of that. So I have an understanding of how that works, for instance. So internet helps us in research. For example, when you're even using secondary data, the lady who is a research assistant can relate with this perfectly well. I mean, secondary data, you have to go online and, get documents, to get those information. So these are what internet helps us to do. For entertainment, of course, social media and for work, yes. I mean, all of us work in one place or the other, and we have intranet within our organization where we connect, we communicate. And I mean, one of the things you may even want to stress on this point is that why do organizations even have intranet? Is to make sure that everything that is being shared or information that flows through that network is safe and is secured. That's why it's the organization having intranet. You see that there is what end-to-end encryption. We'll still get to that point as we go on in this session. So these are some of the things you want them to understand. Organization would have just, used maybe any network and all of that. But why is it that every organization have their own intranet and they spend heavily to maintain it? This is just one of the things that drive home the point that issues around online safety is sacrosanct and cannot be, it's not negotiable. So it is a fast, network of computers linked via network worldwide. Connect people via a wide variety of devices such as computers, cell phone, television, gaming device, car, to share information amongst other things. So these are some of the things you also want to share with them. And along the line too, you can also relate it with examples. Because I realize that people are very, very much interested in when you are trying to kind of tell a story and all of that. But I might not do that in this session because, of course, this is like train the trainer session. So we are the one going out there to train. So, and I will not want to take more time, but after maybe the session and all of that, of course, we are going to share the slide with you. You will go through it. You will, make sure you're able to relate it to, so many things and all of that. Like this television, for example, I remember I was talking to somebody yesterday evening and I was telling her that, look, smart television and how some of those smart television works. You won't believe, a lady of about 23 years, she told me she never knew there's a television known as smart TV in this Lagos. It's not like she's just coming from the village in this Lagos. She never knew what is, but I was now telling her that, smart TV works like computer. You can even access the internet, connect it and all of that. So you may not be surprised too. Why I'm saying this is that don't go with the mindset that, oh, these things are simple things. They are things that, oh, these guys can know. No. Go with the mindset that some of these guys mean teachers. Some of them may not know these things. Not even in Nigeria, where we have a lot of teachers who are not even, up to date on what is going on. Our universities is a good example. You see those lecturers come to class and they teach stuff. You are like, what is this? Things that are obtainable in like 1990 something, they still come here to teach. And that's not the beauty of research. The beauty of research is how recent they are, because the times are changing, right? So let me just come to where I don't let me digress, So it can be used either wired or wireless. Yeah, you can let them know. You can share information either wired or wireless. That's why you have now MiFi, for example. You can put on your MTN MiFi, your Airtel MiFi, you connect your computer to it, and before you know it, you are there. That's an example of wireless. Yeah, then the next thing you want to talk to them about, when we started this session, we were asking questions around if you conduct a Google search before. So another thing you want them to understand is search engine. It's also part of the curriculum. You want them to understand what search engine are. Of course, search engine are common. The likes of Google, Bing, owned by Microsoft, Google by, by Google. We all know that. So it's a software program that help people find information they are looking for online using keyword or phrases. How does search engine work? We all know that once you put anything you are typing, anything you need information on that box is either on Google or Bing or as the case may be, and you press enter, if possible within a nanosecond, what search engine does is that it goes and help you accumulate all websites that contain that particular information you are looking for, right? That's why you see there one of the things we say here is that search engines are able to return results quickly, even with millions of websites online. So search engine is what brings, when you hear Google and Bing and all of that, I mean, the part of their operation is a search engine part. And what that does is that once you put any information, the search engine is automated in a way that it searches through. They have in their repository all these websites already because they are interconnected. So once you put whatever keyword you are looking for, it searches all the websites you are looking for and bring them for you. That is why you see, if you search something on Google, for example, and you click enter, you see it will even give you the time it took to bring out those results. Sometimes you see 0.42 seconds, 0.20 seconds to tell you how quick it is. So that's what search engine does. And social media is used to share, about their personal life. I mean, connect with people, amongst other things. I'm not sure this is supposed to be here. I'll take it off. Yeah. So you can give them example of search engine. I mean, Google, Bing, etc., amongst other things. And if you have some other example, you can give up. Then the next question is, do you know whether you are secure on the internet? That's the question. I mean, a lot of us, we subscribe every month, maybe every week, whether it's every day, we use the internet. But the question is, how many of us even know whether we are secured on the internet or not? That is what the whole of this session, it's all about. So the next thing you want to tell them, the previous slide is asking whether you are secured on the internet. So for you to answer that question, one of the things you have to look into is what we call sensitive information, right? What are sensitive information? Let's start from there. What are sensitive? At this point, because I always like to make sure that, it's just an online class, but I want to make sure that everybody's following. At this point, I think I'll be asking us. So let's unmute or go to the chat box and just tell me what sensitive information are. But I'll prefer if you unmute and just talk. Yes, sensitive information. Nobody's talking. Sensitive information. These people are cooking noodles. They are in the kitchen.
Hey.
Information. How do I put this now? There are informations that are particular to a person. They can be used as identifiers. They can be used as.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just give examples. Examples are like your passwords.
Okay.
Medical record, insurance records, your financial stuff like that.
That's apt. That's apt and spot on. Any other person? Only them Lola is in this class. So.
In addition,
somebody's talking.
Yeah, in addition to what she has said, there are information that are particular to us, like they are our personal information, personal details that no one else should have access to.
I love that. Details that no one else should have access to. Yes, that's just spot on. Thank you very much. You and Lola, you've virtually answered the question. I don't think you even need this slide to go and explain sensitive information. Just go there and be, giving them gas boost and all of that, right? Don't mind me. So sensitive information, you just nail it on the end. So let's just go through these slides together. What we just have is just what you guys have mentioned. The summary is that there are information that you need to protect from other people. Yeah, that other people should not have access to, regardless of how close you are to those people and all of that. When I teach this, I used to give an example of a particular situation that happened while I was in Unilag. This happened in my Department of Accounting, right? This guy and this lady, maybe you can also use that to also explain or drive home this point. Like I said, as a facilitator, one of the things you should be able to do is your ability to tell stories, and so that, your listeners can, pick something from what you're saying. This is a true life story. In my department, so this lady and this girl, they were dating from 100 level, to 300 level, 400 level. Yeah, they were still dating. The intention was to get married. I mean, only God knows, how far they've gone and all of that. And in Unilag, if you are very conversant with Unilag, you know that from your 100 level to 400 level, you always have maybe this borrowed course that the exams is usually CBT. That all of you have to write together, at whether ETC or DLI as it were. So this is the situation. So this guy and this lady were, so I mean, for people to be dating from year 1 to year 4, you can imagine how close they will be. The guy have access to the lady's information, the lady have access to the guy's information. I mean, you understand the password, the email address to the student portal. To cut long story short, so this guy started eyeing one other girl. So the girlfriend, they've been together from year 1 to year 4, now found out. On finding out, do you know what this lady did? There is a course in 400 level, there's a faculty course and a CBT. You know what this lady did? This lady went before the guy to the test center, log in his detail, enter his exam portal. She did not answer any question and submitted for him. And, that was how that guy had an extra year. True life story, right? Yes. Why was the lady able to do that? Because the guy does not understand the definition of sensitive information, so to say. I mean, some of you may argue that, no, that's not true, but they are fancy, they are whatever. I mean, but what we are trying to drive home is that sensitive information are information that are only for your consumption. No one else is supposed, somebody made mention of that. No one else is supposed to have access to that information. And this is one of the things you want to tell some of these teachers. I mean, I've gone to places where I took some of these sessions and I wonder even how some of them don't even understand. Yeah, is it not just where I stay? It's not just my medical record that, that he has cancer. It's not just my medical record that I know. Yes, there are information that should not, be shared with anybody. This is one thing you want to emphasize on this particular slide. Information you don't want to share, and they should emphasize it with their students. And I mean, some of this information, we know what they are. You have made mention of it. It could be your bank verification numbers. If they have bank accounts, your BVN, it's not what you want to share, right? I mean, at that time, at the point to interface with how some of these, scammers work and all of that. And I realized that most of the time, they don't even need all your information. They just need 1 or 2 of your information. And from that little thing, they get everything they need. Now, listen, how many of you stayed? I hope everybody on this course stay in Lagos, right? Or if you stay in Lagos, just unmute. Let me know. I'll be sure. Good. So that I'll be sure that you are able to relate with what I'm saying. Now, you realize that if you have gotten Cowrie card before, you realize that
network.
Blue card you use in Lagos for transport. Immediately you put they ask for your phone number and you give them the phone number. They will call your name, your first name, your other name, everything about you. That even drives home the point that, please, can you still hear me? Internet unstable, okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I was seeing internet unstable on my screen. That was why. So, I mean, all they need is just your phone number. When you give your phone number, everything about you is in there. So it shows that in a way, even some of this information are even, how they, not to talk of now some other personal information that you are not careless with, right? So when this guy, what I'm trying to say is that some of these guys, how they work is they don't need all the information. They just need 1 or 2 of those information. And once they are able, maybe your name, where you work, and some other thing, your job, they can give you a call and they'll be able to penetrate you just easily, right? So your BVN is important. It's sensitive information you don't want to share. Your ATM card details and PIN. That's all you don't want to share. It's my friend now. What is there? Take, go ahead, me withdraw. And that one, we just take a snapshot of your card details. And one day you just be somewhere. Maybe you are even in the mosque. You are praying. Or you are in the church. You are praying. You just see Palm first SMS, 20K debit alert. Second SMS, 20K debit alert. And like that, even when you are in the 7th heaven, you will come back to life. Your eyes will open by the time you see most of it. So what we are trying to say here is that these are some of the details you have to be very, very careful with. Even with ordinary, the CVV at the back of your ATM card, a lot of things can be done with your account, with just having access to the CVV at the back of the ATM card. So these are some of the things you want to stress for this teacher so that they can escalate it to their students and when they get to their respective school. So it's very, very important. Another thing is phone and SIM password. Of course, we all know that. Your national identity number, yes. For example, if you are somewhere in the US now, you're talking about social security number, SSN, for instance. So these are numbers that are peculiar to only one person. I mean, if I give you my identity number, if you enter it anywhere, you have all the details about me. That's why you see now that most of this, when you want to have anything to do with maybe your financial institution, for your KYC, some of the things they require from you is NIN. In fact, even about 2 years ago, I mean, JAMB also, they started using NIN as, I mean, as a registration requirement. Without NIN, you can't register, even WAEC now, right? So those numbers are something that is supposed to be kept, and they are sensitive information. Another one is your permanent voter's card. Yes. Why is permanent voter's card is sensitive information? If you check your permanent voter's card, you see by the left-hand side, close to your picture or passport, you see a number there mixed with letter. That number too is like an identifier. They identify with only you. You understand? That when anybody goes to the back end, and even now that we have these guys, I mean, people are hacking into INEC portal. I mean, you can see what happened at the last election, for instance, right? So that number is an identifier, and it identifies with only one person. So it's also, that is why your permanent voter's card should be kept, because it's a sensitive information. Another one, like somebody said, is your medical record. I mean, blood type, disease. I mean, somebody can use that against you. If I know I have somebody maybe who lives with me who is asthmatic, maybe one day when something happened, I can just decide and just be wicked. I can just decide to just start, burning something, and you see flames all over the room, just to, like they say, pepper that person, right? So these are some of the sensitive information. So you have to relate in the very basic term for these students or teachers, as it were, because it's like some of us, we also take, the students as well, to bring the very basic level for them to understand. And what you see here, like the summary by the other side, is do not share with an unknown person. They contain information that can be used to scam you. Yes, don't share. That's the summary of what we are discussing. The next thing we want to talk about is privacy, right? Privacy in a way goes with, sensitive information. That's why I put them immediately after the sensitive information, right? So privacy. So what are questions around privacy? So you may want to just tear them up a little bit. Just ask them, has this ever happened to you? Consider this. Do you think everybody's entitled to have access to certain information about you? You can ask them, like your name. I mean, name is even very common. Do you think everybody is entitled to have access to, certain information about you, like your name, your PIN, etc. about you? You think you can control it? Those are the two questions you want to ask them. You get their response. Oh, some will tell you it's not bad. You tell them my name and all of that. Some will tell you, you say we can control it. How can we control that, right? Then that takes us to the next slide. Look at this, an example of Jacob, for example. Jacob is, having a conversation with a lady he just met in school. What are the information you think he will share? You get their thoughts and why. That's where you get them to engage, so that, because this session is a session that should last for at least about an hour and 30 minutes when you are taking those guys, or 1 hour there. I mean, 1 hour 30 minutes, that's just a benchmark when you're taking them, for example. And in some instances, you might have to take it twice, for instance. So you want to make sure that you don't bore them and they are able to. Somebody will say 1 hour 30 minutes is too much. You may say that. But the honest truth is, I've taken this session even where we have adults, over time. And I realized that, in fact, there was one I took that I spent like over 2 hours. It was like I just, I don't know, I just became the celeb of the day. And how does that work? It's your ability to make sure that you make all these things relatable to them, engage them, let them talk, right? Imagine yourself, you just met someone. I mean, is it bad for you to share your name? Somebody will tell you, no, it's not bad, it's just my name. Somebody will say, no, you don't even need to share your name. Is it bad to share your date of birth? I am born in August. I am born in July. You understand? Some will say, no, you can even tell them, won't you share your, date of birth? I mean, you share it so that when it's like 5 days to your birthday, there'll be countdown. And, like someone used to say, the more you tell people your birthday, the larger the gifts you potentially receive on your birthday. You can chip in things like that. I mean, your age, your phone number, your current, school, job, business, your zodiac sign. You want to tell them, is it what you want to share with? I mean, Jacob is the person now. You can just relate it to them and, let them kind of put themselves in Jacob's shoe. Your hobbies, your account balance. Somebody will say, we're taking this session at the point. Somebody say, why won't I share account balance? I know who can help me. Do I know who I'm meeting? You understand? So these are some of the, response you get from them. Maybe you want to share your biggest fear. Oh, this is my biggest. Oh, this is my favorite meal. So that anytime the person is having in mind to take you out, you indirectly tell the person what your favorite meal is, right? Your contact address. So this place is just to make sure you kind of engage them, and get their response. So make sure that you're not just talking to yourself, right? Then the next thing is, what is after all this? All these things we have here, asking you what you think you share, is a question of privacy. That's what you tell them. After everything, after they've told you, I will share this, ask about 3 of them, I will share this, I will not share this. Then you now let them know that all these things is a question of privacy. Then the next question is, what is privacy? So privacy is basically knowing what information to share and not to share. If you can even link it with sensitive information. Sensitive information is those information you should not share. But privacy is now like that state of now deciding whether you want to share something or you don't want to share something. Right? So what we are trying to achieve with this slide is to tell them that, see, whatever you decide to share, it is your responsibility. I can decide to say, I want to go on LinkedIn tomorrow. I want to share my current, job position. It's my choice. And I have to take responsibility for it. I can decide to say, oh, I'm going to Elegushi during the weekend. And I can decide to take a picture and say, chilling with, whatever, 24 other people, like, those people post on Facebook and all, chilling with 24 other people at, it's your responsibility. So you have to let them know that anything you decide to share online is your responsibility. So it's your responsibility to protect those information so that you don't fall victim for scammers. Right? So kidnappers work with information such as your location, amongst other things. Yes. In fact, along the line in this slide, I will tell you how people can even monitor what you are doing online and you won't know. I will discuss that. In a way, this session will also, in a way, educate even some of us. And at the same time, as we are trying to also educate others, we are also learning something from it. So this thing is a two-way thing, right? So kidnappers with some of this information, like your location and all, what does it take to kidnap people? It's a perfect executed task. Get their location. Oh, this person is moving from this place to the other. Get to track them. There are trackers that, even on cars now, there are trackers that can tell you the location of a car per time. You understand? So what we are trying to let them know here is that they should be careful of what they post online. Do you know why? I say this almost everywhere when I take any session. The internet does not forget things. Yes, anything you share online, you will have it even 50 years down the line. A good example is, look at the current scandal with our president concerning, certificate and all of that. Certificate that has been issued since like 1979. Look at what is happening now. People will go back to dig and will find this information. So the internet does not forget anything. And sometimes I share this information of someone I know who lost a visa to the UAE. Why? Because, the UAE is very, very big on, morality. There was a time this lady online just shared, pictures of, all these kind of picture that you wear, all these seductive dresses. And now, these guys have background check. So they ran a background check and they found out, and that was how she was denied visa into UAE. So you never can tell what you post now online that can come back to haunt you, right? So you have to take responsibility for everything you post. Then the next question is, who views my posts, right? Because one of the things we said here is that be careful of what you post online. Then the next question is, who views your post? Now you want to ask them, imagine a maker as an upcoming music artist who just recorded his first single. Who do you think he will share? We will want to view his posts. Now, a maker now, he has a single. Who do you think he wants to view? Is it his friends? Is it friends of friends or the public? Somebody should just unmute and let me just get your thoughts. I just want to make sure you are following me and you're not in the kitchen cooking noodles. Yes. These people are not talking. Good news. It's like these people are cooking noodles. Are you guys here? Azana, can't you guys hear me? Azana Dixon, Nigeria Favor. If you are with me, answer my question now.
I'm with you, sir.
Answer my question if you are with me.
I think
What do you say?
the public would view his. I think the public would view his posts because he's an upcoming artist and he wants to reach out to a wider range of people.
Okay, he wants to reach out to a wider range of people. So you feel he should share it with the public. Who has a contrary opinion? Anyone? Damilola, are you talking?
I think friends of friends, then the public, because your
Friends of
friends,
friends.
yes, they'll tell their friend, tell a friend to tell a friend, like that. Then if you go viral, then the public to keep on creating awareness about it. That's my own opinion.
Okay. Friends of friends, public. Okay, thank you very much. Now, what we are trying to drive home with this slide is that you can control who views your post, and it depends on your need. For example, Emeka, who is an upcoming artist, it is even best he shares with the three: your friends of friends, the public. But if Emeka feels he does not want some people to see it, he can decide not to share it. For instance, I mean, yes, some of us, of course, maybe while you are in university, your parents views your status on WhatsApp, for instance. Maybe you come from a Christian background or a Muslim background. Anytime you're in the mosque, you share it. In fact, when you are sharing it on WhatsApp, you put, except only there's an option, I've forgotten, I can't remember the word verbatim, but you understand what I'm saying. Share with this set of people. So you put your mom, so that your mom will see that, no, my daughter is praying in school. In fact, is in church or she's in church. But if you went to a club, for instance, you may not want to share it with your parents, right? You may want to share it with maybe just your friends alone. So what we are trying to drive home with this slide is that who views your post depends on you, right? And you can always ensure that there is a setting put in place to control that, right? This is it. So you can choose the right audience for your post depending on the message you are trying to push out. So you can educate them. If it is on Facebook, for instance, you can choose who wants to see your post, your friends on friends, public. There's a setting there. So on Instagram, you can decide to make your account private. In this case, you can control who view your profile. And on WhatsApp, what I was trying to explain, status privacy, you can put it on your contact or my contact except, only share with, right? I used to hear of a story of someone who has different girlfriends. So what he does is that once he's posting, the picture of a particular lady, when he goes to status privacy, the contact he will only put there that will view it is that lady. When he's posting like 3 pictures at the same time, but he has configured it in a way that only those ladies in those 3 different pictures can see them, right? So what we are saying is that all these things you can control who views your post, and you make sure that your post reaches the right audience. Then this one is also very, very an integral part of privacy. In fact, I don't play with it. Cookies. All of us hear about cookies, right? If I even ask us now, what is cookies? I was at a session at ECOI, Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment. A grown-up man. I asked him what cookies was. This man was giving me an example about these biscuits. I'm like, what is this? Right? You may not be surprised that even some of these people you'll be teaching these things might not even know what cookies is. They know they see it every day. You go to a website and they tell you accept cookies. Right? They accept it. Some of them might even have known that, all these cookies are what we see on websites, online, and all of that. But they don't know how those cookies work. And that is why I'm not supposed to even include it. That is why I personally include that cookies and privacy. It's important because it's something we don't understand how it works. Then the question is, what is cookies? Cookies are just like objects, right? On every website that once you accept it, and this is how cookies work. Maybe I should explain it. How cookies work is this. Now, when you use a particular web browser to access the internet, so cookies sort of help your web browser, communicate with your interests, your preferences, right? Maybe you are somebody who likes, maybe you like, fashion, maybe style, lifestyle, and all those things. So it sort of communicates with you and the web browser, such that the web browser, by the time you accept, you're giving the web browser to save certain information or preferences that is peculiar to you on that website. So that once it's saved, you can now be served ads. That's why you see that there are times you visit some website, you see certain ads that relate with some other things you are also viewing on other websites, right? For instance, maybe you are somebody who is passionate about maybe fashion and all of that. You just realize that you just see an ad of maybe someone who just have some, maybe about from maybe a boutique or something from Jumia, for instance. Have you ever noticed that if you go to Jumia app, for instance, and you try to order for something, even if you have added that into your cart and you have not paid, you can go to your Facebook page and you realize that the first page you view, you realize that before you check like 5 or 4 posts, you see a post from Jumia advertising more or less the same thing you have checked. Have you ever noticed that? So these are some of the things cookies does, right? So the next question is, what is now the relationship between cookies and your privacy? Like I said, they are like tool advertisers used to track your online activities, so they can target you with specific ads. I've explained that. So cookies help websites to collect your personal information and preferences, right? So these are some of the things you want to know. Why is this under privacy, and why am I very big on this? Why I'm very big on this is that there are some certain websites that you should never accept cookies, even when you are on those websites. You should never accept cookies from them. There's certain things you will look out for. If they are not present, you decline the cookies. I'll still talk about that, as we go on. And in case I don't maybe oversight or anything, you can bring it up. But I think I still have a slide that, speaks to that. But what you just need them to understand is that cookies are just, tools that are used to just get some of your personal information and preferences and communicate it with your web browser to make sure that you are being targeted with certain ads that suit your interest. You understand? So cookies is also a way of it's also an integral part of your privacy. Now, cookies and privacy, continuation. The website you visit usually asks your browser to store this information on your computer or mobile phone. Yes, I've explained that. If you must accept cookies, ensure the website is at least, yes, this is what I was about saying the other time. I know I have a slide that talk about it. Is at least encrypted. If you are following me, put in the chat box encrypted. I need you to do that to be sure you are following me. Put in the chat box encrypted. Let's keep it coming. Yes. Let's keep it coming. Dixon, encrypted. You are following. Yes. Who else is following? Or you quickly go and,
I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, who is that? Who is sorry?
No,
Put
so
in
I was finding my keyboard.
Okay, you're finding your keyboard. Okay. Thank God you found it. Or should we write a police report?
No, it's fine.
Okay, thank God. Encrypted, yes. Asana is following. Oluwakemiani is following. Okay. I just want to be sure you guys are following me. Do not be like I'm just teaching myself. And you are somewhere cooking noodles, or you are even in a party self. Just mute yourself. All right. So if you must accept cookies, you have to ensure it is at least encrypted. Right. And how do you know when the website is encrypted? If you have visited the website before, you see something like a padlock beside the URL address. Beside that place, you have www. You see something like a padlock. That's an example. Anytime you see that, it shows that that website is encrypted. And in a way, every information shared on that network is safe, because most of those encrypted websites work with TSL and SSL certificates. Right? So if what you want to stress for those teachers and for those students as it were is that if you must accept cookies from any website, you have to make sure that it's at least encrypted. What somebody will now ask you is, but if you don't accept the cookies, there are some things you will search on that website, you'll not be able to use that website. Then you tell them, if it's not encrypted, it's not safe for you to accept all cookies because you want to see something on the website, right? Than just going to that website and you're on a mission that is able to compromise your personal information and leak it to third parties who can take undue advantage of those information. So it's important that it must be at least encrypted. And to know that it's encrypted, you have like a padlock sign beside the web address. It's important. Then this one, the next thing I would like to talk about, which I'm also very big on, is application and permission. It's also part of privacy. People think privacy is just about your personal information, blah, 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 blah. Even some of these things, cookies is the application. Now, when you install application on your mobile phone, it requests for certain permission, yes or no? Permission to camera, permission to contact, permission to location, permission to everything. A good example is WhatsApp. When you install WhatsApp, for example, it asks for access to your contact list and all of those things. What we are trying to say with this slide is that be mindful of the application or software you allow permission, because there are some application out there that has been put out there by some of these scammers. Those app masquerade as if they are trying to solve a problem, but on the other side, what they are trying to do is to get your personal information. In fact, I may not share it on this call. I'm not sure if I included it in this slide, but maybe I will still share it on our group. I will share you a list of about 25. When we get to that place, I will show you 25,000 passwords that was leaked. I mean, people's password In fact, you may be surprised that even when you check one of your password, maybe some time ago that you have used to be on that list, that has been leaked. That some of these guys have gone on the other side to get those passwords online. 25,000 of them. And we'll still get to a section that talks about password, right? So I'll probably share that document if I can find it on our WhatsApp group. You will see. So it's very, very important you are careful with how you allow permission for applications. Application you are not sure of. You don't even know the developers. You don't even install them in the first place, not to talk of allowing permission. Some of us even go online, you want to, what's the word now? You want to maybe convert one. I don't want to begin to mention some softwares, right? You want to maybe compress your video. You want to convert video to MP3. You just go online, download one application and all of that and all of that. And all thanks to some of the Android OS now, they are building up the security patches in a way that there's certain Android version now that there's certain application that it will never permit you to install on your phone. No matter what, it will not permit you. Or if you must install it, it will warn you at first to tell you that this application you are installing is capable of what? Harming your phone or having access to certain information. There will be a prompt on your phone that will warn you, that will give you that one. Then if you now say, okay, I want to install it, you have it installed. To tell you that what most of these guys are doing, when they know they can't get you through normal sensitive information, password, and all this thing online, they go through application. They just develop one software to tell you, if you want to convert any video to MP3, download our app, and you download it. But in the process of downloading it, will require access to your music. It will require access to your gallery. It will require access to your contacts. Right? And before you know it, everything is down there. Please, a second, please.
You are muted. Can't hear you anymore.
I think he excused himself. He was like, a second, please.
I didn't hear that. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. I'm sorry. I just had to quickly attend to something. So, sorry for the break in transmission. So be mindful of the application of software you allow permission. That's what I'm saying. Do you even know that? I will even still get there there's a particular slide I think I devote to that also, but since it came to my mind, and let me talk about it. When we get there, we'll just play around it, right? Do you know that there are even some software, some cracked software version that you even install on your laptop that you're not supposed to? I mean, it's common very well. Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, this software from cracked websites. And you feel like, oh, something you're supposed to pay for, you are now using it free and all about those things. But you don't know that these people that comes up with this software, they didn't come up with it just to make it free. If it was free in the first place, Microsoft should have made it free. But they will crack it and give it out there. People will go on their website, download and all of that. But in the process, what you are doing is that in the process of trying to find what is free, you are harming yourself, right? And you are putting some of your sensitive information out there. Do you even know that? I was saying something earlier on. Do you even know that there are certain software that peep through your camera while you use them? Yes. You have, giving them access to camera. So while you are using them, you are even laughing hysterically, chatting on WhatsApp, doing that, or chatting on whatever app, but they are peeping through your camera and they can even get your ID, your face ID from that. So what we are saying is that application you don't trust, don't install them, not to talk of now allowing them permission to your contact, to everything. That's why you even see that there are certain things that happen that some people will just call you don't know them, and they start mentioning people and all of that. These are some of the things they do. I don't want to over stress this. Let me just move on, right? But I hope you all get the point I'm trying to make here. So you have to be careful of the kind of applications you install or software or granting them permission, right? So the next thing we want to talk about is issues around Wi-Fi. Yes, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is what everybody is it's common, right? So let's go straight there. So you want to ask them, have you ever connected to a public Wi-Fi before? You get their reaction on this one. Public Wi-Fi. They will even tell you, when I was in the hotel, there was Wi-Fi connected. In fact, in my office, there's one place in UBA. Once you get there like this, you just connect and be downloading. You ask how many of you have connected to a Wi-Fi to download movies, log on to Facebook, they will tell you, Housewife of Lagos. I used to connect, especially when I want to download videos. You see some of them give me that kind of reaction. I mean, it's expected. And that's one of the things that drives engagement, right? So you ask them. I mean, when I give example of all this public Wi-Fi before, I give example of something that happened in the past, right? Even at a point, when this Blue BRT first came to Lagos, they had Wi-Fi. I don't think they do now, right? They have Wi-Fi. That means when you enter the bus from like Fadeyi, you are going to like Korodu or My 12. You enter those blue buses, they have this seat, then you can connect to Wi-Fi. Red Cheetah, if I can remember, if that's the name. Right. I'm not sure. You connect to that Wi-Fi, you do everything you want to do. In fact, I know someone who will dress. He later told me as if he's going to work. Then from Fadeyi to K2 was 100 naira. He entered the BRT bus, pay 100 naira. Do you know why this guy entered that BRT bus? Just because he wants to use the Wi-Fi and download some movies. When he gets to My 12, he highlights again and enter another one that will convey him back to Fadeyi, just to use the Wi-Fi and download movies, right? So, that's just to drive home the point that, a lot of us connect to public Wi-Fi, not even caring who is hosting the Wi-Fi, as long as you are seeing any Wi-Fi, no password. In fact, you quickly connect at that time, quickly download everything you want to download. But we'll get to know, sure. So, how many of you transfer money to customers on public Wi-Fi to customer or to anybody? Sorry, it could be your customer or your friends or anybody on a public Wi-Fi. How many of you do that? You get their response. How many of you update your application when connected to a public Wi-Fi? They will, you see all of them talking, updating your iOS or your, application on your Android when connected to a Wi-Fi. You get their response. This place is just to make sure that everywhere you see, have you ever, we are just trying to drive an engagement with these guys, right? Then the next thing is, you could tell them, can you imagine what will happen when a fraudster have access to your personal information, like your BVN ATM card, PIN, phone, password? Imagine what will happen. Imagine what will happen when someone can spy into and monitor your activities online. You ask them, just imagine what will happen when you are on Facebook or on Twitter, and as you are doing what you are doing, somebody is at the other end monitoring what you are doing or can see what you are doing. Imagine what that person can do to you or your personal information. Now, what are we trying to drive on? What we are trying to say here, guys, is that not all free Wi-Fi are free. That's the bottom line of what we are saying. Not every public Wi-Fi that is free. You go to a bank, they ask you to connect to a Wi-Fi, you connect. You are at Computer Village, you connect. In fact, not every free Wi-Fi is free. Right? So this one is just to, bring to their, help them to understand what Wi-Fi is and how it works. It's wireless, it's using radio signal, it allows people to connect to the internet. There are serious risks. This is where the point is now. There are serious risks when you connect to a public Wi-Fi, right? There are serious risks when you connect to a public Wi-Fi. Sorry, I'll do that later. When you connect to a public Wi-Fi, right, that is not secure. That's where I'm going. When you connect to a Wi-Fi that is not secure, there are serious risks. And in most cases, those free Wi-Fi, those Wi-Fi that are free that you can easily connect to anywhere are those who carry this risk. They are usually unsecured, and anything you do on those Wi-Fi can be monitored. Yes, they can be monitored. Your web traffic can be monitored, because when a Wi-Fi is public or is free, it means everybody can connect. Both those who have good intentions and those who have otherwise scammers. Everybody can connect on that same Wi-Fi. So what you are trying to drive home here is that not all free Wi-Fi are free. And you should ensure that you don't just connect to any Wi-Fi. I remember one of the things I used to say then, when I take this part, I'll tell them, if you connect anyhow, you will collect anyhow. Yes. A lot of people will just see Wi-Fi and connect. If you connect anyhow, you will collect anyhow. I want to be sure you are following. Put that in the chat box that I said, if you connect anyhow on any free Wi-Fi, you collect anyhow. Let me see if you are following. Put that on the chat box. Okay. People is laughing. Okay. If you connect anyhow, you collect anyhow. You collect the way they used to say water, right? You connect to any Wi-Fi, you collect. Because what will be what will be on the line will be more than what you think. I'm only seeing Dixon type, if you connect anyhow, you collect anyhow. Yes. Asana, if you connect anyhow, you go collect anyhow. Yes. If you connect anyhow, you go collect. Yes. Exactly. Thank you, Favor, for that. Yes, what you collect. Why are we even saying all this? Is to make sure that you're able to relate with, you ensure that they are following. You understand? Because one of the things you want to also do as facilitator is sometimes to speak the language of who you are speaking with. Yes, they are students or they are teachers. They can lead to all this collect. You collect what, right? So what are we trying to say? Public Wi-Fi and its risk now. Scammers can see what you do online, monitor your web traffic. Yes, when you connect to any public Wi-Fi, because anybody can connect. So if I'm a scammer too, in fact, one of the targets of these guys is that they host, in fact, I will not mention this, but I can tell you by virtue of, taking this online safety and by virtue of some of the things I've done in the past, like information I've had access to, I can tell you that there are companies that all they do, right, is to go and host a public Wi-Fi at some locations, whether in Lagos or in Nigeria. They just say it is a public Wi-Fi, we are donating it. But what they are doing at the bottom of that is to get people's information and compromise their personal information. I can tell you. And I won't say more than that. And compromise their information. You just realize that you just see somebody plant one Wi-Fi somewhere and say you can connect, it's free. You don't even need password. Just go there, put your phone number, connect. That's all. Right? That's public Wi-Fi and its risk. One of the things you don't want to do is to connect to a public Wi-Fi. It's risky. Or a free Wi-Fi as its way. Because your personal or sensitive information like BVN can be stolen, can be compromised. Your app login detail can be compromised from connecting to a public Wi-Fi because it's not secured. So that's why sometimes I laugh. In fact, I remember during my undergraduate days in Unilag, one of the things I never did throughout, and I say it might sound unbelievable if you have people who had maybe gone to Unilag, that I'd never done throughout my undergraduate days was to connect to any free Wi-Fi. Right, because of my understanding. Some people will say, oh, rich kid. No, it's not about rich kid. Because of my understanding of this, your personal information is easily stolen on a public Wi-Fi. Not even because of the person that is hosting it. Of course, Unilag is hosting it. I mean, there's some level of what's the right word now? There's some level of security. Yes, in the absence of no perfect word to describe that, there's some level of security. Yes, but what about other people that can connect to it? Because it's a public Wi-Fi. What about those people? Yes. So what we are trying to say here is that, in fact, from connecting to public Wi-Fi, do you know scammers can install certain malwares or virus that can damage your computer? Just connecting to public Wi-Fi. So it's important to know that not all free Wi-Fi are free, or not all free Wi-Fi is free. Like I said earlier on, if you connect anyhow, you collect anyhow. Then the next question is, how do you know when the Wi-Fi is secured or not? Because of course, if I must connect to a Wi-Fi, because that's the next question that we ask you. If you say, okay, I should not connect. In fact, I took this session at a particular youth program in a church. Yes. And even the lead pastor, I mean, this is one of the, is a top leader in one of these corporates. I don't want to mention the name of the company, like is an MDCO, for instance. That's someone that if I mention the name, some of us might know. He was even confessing to me there that even when he goes to hotels, like he just connects to their Wi-Fi, that he never even see anything in that. But from the session I took that day, he realized that no, it's always better to be safe. Right? Because you never can tell the intention of anybody hosting a public or a free Wi-Fi, right? So the next question that we ask is, how would I now know when the Wi-Fi is secured or not? That takes us to our next slide. How would I know when the Wi-Fi is secured or not? Number one is it asks you for a password before you connect. If any Wi-Fi you are connecting to does not ask you for a password, it's just saying put only your phone number or put only your first name, connect, then you should know that you need to run for your life, or that particular Wi-Fi is not secured. So it asks for your password before you connect. If it's doing otherwise, then it's unsecured. That's what we are saying. It is from a trusted and reliable source. e.g., Google Workstation Wi-Fi, for instance, sometimes in 2019 or 2020, Google Workstation came to Lagos and they were like, you want to give back to tech ops in Lagos. And what they did was to install Wi-Fi in some strategic places in Lagos. They installed wire in Computer Village. If you get to Computer Village, I think till date, there'll see a Wi-Fi there by Google Workstation. They installed one in Unilag, then Jaja Hall, yes, I think, and they installed one in Surulere, right, at a point, right? So what we are saying here is that if you even must connect to a public Wi-Fi, you need to look at the source. By source, we mean who is hosting that network. I mean, if you are still having Google hosting a network, then you can be sure that whatever thing you do on that network is reasonably safe. Compared to you just see one, network that does not even have a name. In fact, some of us here, we don't even care about the name. Once you see, they're just saying somebody Wi-Fi like this, showing like 3 dots, full strength, you just connect. Regardless of the name or anything, you understand. So those are some of the things you don't want to do. You want to ask, is it from a trusted and reliable source? If the answer is no, then it's unsecure. If the answer is yes, then it's reasonably secure, right? Another thing you need to know is that it is encrypted or protected. How many of you have noticed that when you are using your mobile phone, for example, when you go to your hotspot setting and you want to modify this, you use something like WEP. WEP is wired equivalent privacy. WP is wired privacy access, and that is Android way of of securing any information that is being transmitted on that connection, right? That's why you always see that on your Android and all of that. So that is the operating system of Android trying to make sure that anything you do when you put on your hotspot and somebody else is connecting is secured. So when you don't see something like this, you know that it is not, that Wi-Fi is not good for you to connect. It's important, right? And I don't know why this is scattered on this slide. It wasn't like this on the one I sent. I don't know why it's like this, but I'll correct that. The next thing is that the network name aligns with the location. It's important. The network name aligns with the location. If the network name does not align with the location, then you can be sure you don't need to connect. I mean, you are in Ikoyi, you are seeing a Mushin, you are seeing a location showing Mushin, right? So it's important that you want to make sure that the network name aligns with the location. The next thing is that you can use some online testing to like F-Secure. That is beyond the scope of what we want to teach. Then another thing you need to know, look at what is here. Protocols like WP and WP ensures that all information sent is encrypted. I've explained that. Encrypted or scrambled. Encrypted means that they are safe. That's why you see that even on WhatsApp, when you are making a call, you see something like, oh, you can make your call now, it is end-to-end encrypted. It means that whatever call you make on WhatsApp or whatever information you share is what is secure. No third party can have access to that information. That's the meaning of end-to-end encryption, right? The next thing is, before choosing a Wi-Fi, what are the things you need to look at? You consider who is hosting the Wi-Fi. I've said that earlier on, the source. Is it Google Workstation? Is it a name that you don't even know? Are the information you will be sharing sensitive? In fact, I tell people, when you are using a Wi-Fi, I don't advise that you use your mobile app. You go to a public Wi-Fi connect, say, let me quickly make a transfer. No. I mean, you are giving access, a free access to your bank information, your ID, your PIN, and all of that. You don't do that on a public Wi-Fi, right? So you want to consider what you'll be sharing. If it has to do your bank information or any other thing that you think is sensitive, we have discussed sensitive information earlier on. It's not the right way you do it on a public Wi-Fi or on a free Wi-Fi, as it were. Who are those connected to the network? Yes, I've said that earlier on. If it's a public Wi-Fi, anybody can connect. That's why it is very, very risky. Then consider the activity you'll be doing as well, and consider the location. I've said that earlier on. Then the next thing we'll be talking about is password. At this point, to be sure you are following me, can somebody say in the chat box, I am following? Or unmute and say, I am following. To be sure you are following.
I am following.
You are following. Okay. Oh. Favor says she's following. Others to say she's back. I will take you for your word. I will not want to believe, today is Thursday. All right. But where I work, Thursday is like a Friday because we don't work on Friday, for instance. So thank God it's Thursday. Not like you are in a party. All right, don't mind me. So the next thing we want to talk about is password, right? You also want to discuss with them issues around password. Some of them understand they just need password. I have a password. Password means whatever I put there is safe. No, Another thing you want to let them understand is that the fact that you have a password on a particular thing does not mean what you have in there is safe. That's the point we want to drive home with this particular mode with password. That your account is passworded. I don't know if there's any word like passworded. There's nothing like that. Linguistic student, pardon me. I mean, I studied accounting and finance, so I may not be speaking correct English or this is it rule of concord, or what do you guys call it? So password, right? What we are trying to let them know is that the fact that you have password on any account does not mean it's safe. So let's go. Imagine what will happen when somebody will intend to harm you or cause trouble. We do when he or she gets to know the password to your social media account. I mean, I've shared that earlier on. I mean, I give an example of the boyfriend and the girlfriend girl in Unilag. I mean, somebody who intends to harm you, when they have access to your password, what do you think they will do? Right? And somebody who wants to scam you, what do you think will do? A scammer, when they have PIN to your bank account, right? Somebody say they will pray for you. Yes, when they have PIN to your bank account, they just pray for you, right? We all want to avoid this. You can see this guy. Look at this guy. This situation where you're just moody, you're like, oh God, had I known, I would have done this, had I known. We all want to avoid. You have to take issues around password very, very seriously. That's the point we are trying to drive home here. To avoid this, you have to make sure that issues around password is taken what? Seriously. Very, very seriously. Right? So how do you do that? A lot of us, we think we have a password. But we don't have a password. What we have is just some letters that are joined together. It's not password. Because some of our passwords are very weak. And how do you know passwords are very weak? They contain your name or family name. Somebody's name here is Oluwadamilola. You just say a password, Oluwadamilola, maybe date of birth, Oluwadamilola 1982 as password. My sister, that is a weak password. Right? Date of birth, you see some people password contain this. In fact, I was taking this session somewhere and they attested to the fact that their ATM bank PIN is their date of birth. In fact, there are some of us here, as I'm saying it, you are like, this guy is shaking table. Your ATM PIN is your date of birth. I mean, you want to change that. That's very weak. And anybody can guess that. Some people, their password to a particular account is their favorite club, Chelsea, Barcelona, Liverpool. Some people use common words like this. Some people use simple numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that I will not forget. Some people use keyboard pattern. Some people make them, they are usually short and less than 8 characters long. We usually say that any password that is less than 8 characters long is not strong, and you may want to consider changing it. So this is an example of what a weak password looks like. They contain this weak password. You can see the example I gave on this end. Somebody's name is Good News. Maybe the person's date of birth is 1992. The password to any account will be Good News 1992. That means if I need to scam you or get any of your information, don't forget your sensitive information is out there. I can get it. All I just need to do is, I know your name already, and I know your date of birth. So what will I do? By the time I start trying, I don't even need to stress myself. Your name and your date of birth, you find it there. I just get your password and I have access to your account. So these are examples of weak password. Then this is where the class activity now comes. And this is where you now get their reaction. You now tell them, guys, I need you to, now let's check our password strength. How strong is our password? When you log on to this website, for instance, right, it will require that you put your password there. Any password to any account or anyone you want to put there. The system will tell you how long it will take for anybody to hack into that password. I remember taking this session in a place. I can't figure where that place is exactly now. And when I asked them to bring out their phone to log in, somebody's password is to take a nanosecond to hack into that password. Nanosecond, not even up to 1 second. It showed how weak that password is. Nanosecond. So you may want to tell them to put in their password here and let them see what it will take, or how long it will take somebody to hack into that password. And once you know that how long it is, because the shorter the period, the higher the risk. So when the period is short, you now advise them to say, then you may consider changing that password, because it means anybody or a scammer on one end can easily have access to your password. Right. So that's what this is all about. Right. So you share the link with them, you put in their password. And the next thing we want to talk about is what are the recipe for a strong password. When you are cooking, there's a recipe, salt, curry and all those things you put. Now, Damilola can relate very well. That name sounds like somebody that can cook. Damilola, am I correct? Damilola, am I correct? Damilola is not here. Damilola, can you hear me? Or can anybody hear me at all?
Yes, I can hear you.
Damilola have gone to cook. I only asked now that name.
You're not wrong.
Damilola, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I said
Okay.
you're not wrong.
Okay, I'm not wrong, Gavi. You can cook. Okay, no problem. You cook for us. So recipe for a strong password. Now I gave it an acronym. Either you say Sanula 8 or you say Asun 8. I think that Asun looks relatable. Asun. Asun A is that for you to have a strong password, it has to contain alphabet. That's letter. That's the A. Right? L, it has to contain lowercase. I mean, a strong password must be a mixture of all this. That's what I'm trying to say. Lowercase, that is small letter. It contains symbols. Symbols are like special characters, like art, like, hash, question mark, underscore, amongst others. Comma, uppercase, that's a mix of capital letter, numbers, and it must be at least 8 to 12 character long. Look at the example I gave at this side now. You have capital letter, CAP. You have small letters, SME. You have numbers in the same password. You have special character in the same password, and it's more than 8 character long. So what we are trying to teach them here is that for your password to be at least strong, it has to be what? At least what? It has to contain all these things, what we call recipe. It has to contain alphabet, lowercase symbols, uppercase numbers, and at least 8 to 12 character long. This is a good example. So when you have a password that is not a mix of all these things, then you may want to tell them that they may want to consider changing that password. It shows that it's a very weak password. And from the previous slide we did, where they can put in their password and see the duration it takes for anybody to access into their password, this place we speak to it, because for somebody's password to be easily hacked, it shows that it is a weak password and it may not contain all this recipe as mentioned here. What are the other things you need to know to protect your password? Yes, you can use password manager. So it can be a website or an app that can help you save or organize your password. I mean, a lot of us here use the save password feature by Google now. If I'm correct, that you just go to a website, you see your Google mail asking you to save your password. Yes. So another way to protect your password to say, somebody can ask you, but if you ask us to always change, because there's a place here I said it's advisable you change your password every 3 to 6 months. Somebody will tell you, but what if I forget, blah, 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 blah. You can tell them they can use password managers, Google password, online or password one or LastPass. Those are examples of password manager that you can download, right? Then you can change your password frequently. I've said that like every 3 to 6 months. For example, in the corporate world, for instance, we are always required to change our password almost every, I think that's like 8 weeks. 8 weeks is like 2 months. Not to change your password. Even if your password before is, let me say, Adejoke at 2022, _. Even if your new password will still be Adejoke at 22, instead of not saying underscore, you can now use at, hash, and everything. But it is mandated that everybody changes their password every 8 weeks. What are they trying to do? To make sure, because when you change your password frequently, it keeps your account safe. Like I said earlier on, I said I have a list of passwords that have been leaked online, for instance. So even if along the line, maybe you, by mistake or by, enter a particular website that you're not supposed to, that your personal information have been compromised, if you cultivate the habit of changing your password frequently, we are sure that you can stay afloat of those kind of devices. Yes, and do not use same password for many accounts. Some of us here, the same password is used for all our accounts. Facebook, Oluwadamilola, the cook. Instagram, Oluwadamilola, the cook. One account on maybe GT Bank, Oluwadamilola, the cook. You have several accounts and you're using the same password. I can tell you for free that you are standing a chance of losing your personal information to scammer. That's why I started that. What we want to drive home in this particular module of password is that people always feel like they have password, but what we want to let them know that the fact that you have a password does not mean your account is secured, or does not mean your account is free from siege or attack from malicious people, right? So do not use same password when we have said that. And you can use multi-factor authentication, yes. Other verification like biometric. I mean, some of you, when you go and register for maybe some bank app, they will ask you to use other verification like maybe your biometrics, maybe where you grew up from. That multi-factor authentication is just to make sure that apart from your password, there are also other ways to authenticate that you are the one, right? And we also have an app, Google Authenticator too. Yes, to authenticate that you are the one who's using that account, because anybody can have access to your password. But when there is MFA, that's two-factor authentication, then, I mean, imagine you include your fingerprint, right? And somebody have access to your password. And it's not like the person, somebody will say, if you're in the same room, the person can carry your hand and put it on maybe that particular place to take your fingerprint. But I'm just saying, it might not be fingerprint, it might be any other thing. It's just to make sure that you are the one accessing your account. Then another thing I'm also big on is always update your software and application. It's important. It's rampant in this part of the world. And I want us to stress that when we are teaching these guys. People don't update their software and application. I don't have data. You usually waste data. That's why I said earlier, some will go and connect to public Wi-Fi to update their software. It's not some of the things you want to do. But what we are saying, they always do you know why? Because developers fix patches. And what those patches does is that they are fixed to make sure you are giving more security. That's why you see that even on your iOS, you always have newer version of iOS. The newer version of iOS is not just only to beautify the user interface, to see that, oh, before this icon is like this, now it's like this. No, that's not the only thing it does. The major thing while you're updating your software or your iOS or your Android OS or anything is to make sure that those security, because all these developers work around the clock, and they are always seeing ways at which maybe all these malicious guys can lay siege on people's information. So they make sure they fix it on their app. That's why you see that you can have the app say GT Bank. Look at GT Bank now. There was a time they were using one app. They upgraded to another. Although they became a holding company having investments, pension, PFA, that's pension fund administrators and the likes. But aside from that, you realize that that new application that was also launched, they have also, if it's possible to use it, beef up security on those applications to make sure that people's sensitive information are not leaked, not on like financial, institution like that, or a platform where a little error can lead to people losing their information and a compromise on their information. And there is a regulation that governs privacy in the world. We call it GDPR. You understand? That's global privacy regulation. It's important. You need to know that. So those are the things that regulate how some of these information. So social hacking or engineering, this one, if someone knows enough personal information about you, they might be able to access your password. We've said that. They might be able to guess your password. That's why you started with sensitive information. So if I know certain information about you, I can guess your password. I know your name, I know something. So this drives home our point about sensitive information that we were discussing earlier on. Then what's the next thing we want to talk about is you need to watch out for online scammers. I will not take much time on this, but this is what a lot of people are interested in. I mean, you may be shocked that this part will interest your audience, how to watch out for online scammer. Now let's go. Have you ever received a phone call from someone, I've mentioned this before, who mentioned your name and every other information about you, and later you discover you don't even know the person? I know it must have happened to, if not all of us here, maybe some of us. You have received a text from a number asking you to submit your BVN in order to help you upgrade your account. But I just feel like, guy, we are all in Lagos, so sure you get, but God will bring the customer. The guy just laughed and he ended the call. it was funny and it was not funny, right? So this happened almost every day. We receive call telling you want something. Yes, this one is even very common. You see a call telling you, hi, Damilola, you have just won 20,000 naira in your credit card. Call this number to claim it. I mean, why are we having all this thing on this slide? Why I intentionally include all these things to make sure that whatever you are doing is saying is relatable to your audience before you now start talking, right? So a lot of them will show interest. They tell you, yes, somebody has called me before that I had won a visa lottery to the UK. Let me just call a number and all of that. So what you want to let them know, you can also think about this. What might happen when malicious hacker try to access your information online? Yes. What would a website you are not logged into want to keep track of who you are? I think about it. Why would they want to keep track of who you are? Can you list some example of information that malicious hacker are looking for? You can ask them to list it. Yes. Do you know that a malware is? Do you know what a malware is and what it can do? Those are things you want to. But what I'm trying to drive home about this watch out for online scammer is issues around what I call phishing. But before we go to that, I adapted this particular one from a particular program I did in the past, this particular slide. And what they were trying to check is to now tell just engage your audience. Tell them to check these two pictures. Which one do they feel is legit? Which one do they feel is not legit from these two images? In fact, let me ask some of us on this call. Aside Asana may have an idea. But let me ask other people on this call. From these two web pages, which one do you think is the original Facebook web page? And which one do you think looks like more or less like a scam? Yes, if you are going for this one, just type 1 in the chat box. If you are going for this one, just type 2 in the chat box. Oh yeah, I'm expecting a response. Please look closely because you are going to ask them. Of course, I will tell you the one that is legit and why. But because you are also going to ask the teachers or the student you are teaching. So it does not look like even you that you're asking. You don't say something. So let's do that now. Quickly, guys. We are ending this session soon. We're almost done. Yes. Somebody say 1. No, wait. 1 is 1 fake or scam? Okay, let me just ask this question this way. If you think 1 is the correct one, or the one you feel is not a scam, 1. If you feel anyone you feel is not a scam, just type 1 or 2. Anyone you feel is legit. Yeah, somebody say 1 is legit. Dixon is thinking. Okay, happy thinking, Dixon.
No, I'm not thinking. I have a different opinion towards both of them. That's how.
Okay. No, okay. So what's your opinion? Do you like to share?
Yeah. So if you actually just limited us to 1 or 2, but like on closer look at both of them personally from my own point of view, I believe both are the same.
Both are the same.
Both are the same. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's
The
nice.
URL is actually same, and it's hard to duplicate, especially when you actually take a closer look at both of them. So that's what I just believe.
Okay. 2 is legit. Damilola. Okay. Okay, Dixon, you said both of them looks alike and does not appear like anyone is legit. Okay, Dixon might be correct.
Like
Let's
I
see.
said, the URL. I said the URL.
Yes, are the same, right? Yeah, I got that now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
by that analysis, you are not like seeing any difference between the two, if I get you correctly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying now. You might be correct. Let's see. Let's get other people's thought. I've only gotten just 3 people. Where are others? In fact, Asana, I want you to also contribute. I know you may know, but let me get your thoughts. Where are these people? We are 6 or 7 on this call, and I'm seeing 3 people responding now. Like these people are eating dinner already. Good news. Like, okay, somebody said 2 is legit. Where are others now? Asana said 2 is legit. 2 is legit. 2 is legit. Okay. Asana said 2 is legit. 2 is legit. 2 is legit. 2 is legit. Asana, why do you think 2 is legit? People said they are both the same. Yes. Asana, you seem to have a contrary view. Why do you think 2 of them are the same? Can Asana hear me?
Okay, this is Favor.
Okay,
The
Favor.
2 are the same because yes. I am a UI UX designer, and looking at both screens, there are no difference. They are actually the same.
But there is a difference, okay,
The only difference can be the create accounts. The first one is not complete, and the second one is quite complete.
All right. So what we are trying to achieve now, because of time, right? What we are trying to achieve, right, with all this is just to let them understand that certain pages can be phishing. That's what we are trying to explain here. And what is phishing? We all know what phishing is. It's a cyber crime. I mean, where people try to clone a particular website clone everything that organization do to make it look like they are from the legitimate source. I mean, you all know the story of Hush Puppy. I mean, sometimes I think last year, I mean, Interpol in UAE or in Dubai, as it were, has been trailing this guy for about 6 months before they were able to come to a conclusion and just catch him red-handed. And what these guys, what do? They take their time to study a particular institution, study a particular organization, study everything, even the way they send emails. In fact, I remember that there was a time when I got into KPMG. Yes, when I got into KPMG, one of the training we were given then, even though I have an idea of how these things works, is they really trained us seriously about this phishing. Even in emails, there are certain emails that we come to you and we appear exactly like it's from a legitimate source, but in actual sense, they are not. Right? So that's what we want to let them know, that look, some of these people come with things that looks like it's legitimate, but at the end of the day, they are not. So there are issues around phishing. That's just what we want to talk about, right? And that's why you see here, you're saying online, scammers are looking for whom to do. I mean, you know that they use websites, social media like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, others to get personal details from people. Right? Some get their target through employment scam by fake employment. If you check the next slide because of time, this is a story of one Mrs. Olayinka in November 2021. Look at what happened to her. She enrolled for NIS and she was trying to pay 1.5 as submission fee using her husband ATM. Let's run through that together so that you understand what is going on there. She put the bank detail on the portal and 4,000 naira was deducted. The question is, what you have is 1,005. But by the time she is putting in her details, what happened? 4,005 is gone. And the application did not go through. She made another attempt. What happened? Another 5,000 debits without her approval. Still, the application didn't go through. And you know what she said? She said, I didn't know the job offer was fake because it looked real. That's where we are going. Because it looked what? Real. Going back to that page, the one that is legit, right, is this two. If you log on to Facebook page, you see what I'm saying. Is this page. Like I said, I adapted it from a particular program to online safety, which I was part of. It was in partnership with Meta, right? And this was the correct one. And if you check truly, I mean, it will be difficult, just like the way you said, you look at the URL, they are the same, you do this. It might be difficult to, to see the difference between the two. But if you look so closely, you will see. Look at this web address now. Look at the numbers. Look at this one now. At the end of the day, what do you have? You have 3 dotted. Can you see what I'm saying? Can you see? But if you look at the interface, generally, it looks like it's the same. But if you look intently, you see that. Look at this number now. This number still continues. Look at the difference between this and this. So what I'm trying to just say in a nutshell is that we are trying to let them understand that these people make things look like they're real. Look, they are real. Look at this woman's story, for instance, and look at her confession. Oh, I didn't know that the website was fake, or the job, whatever. But what we are saying is that these are issues around phishing. And for these people to stay safe of online scammer, they need to understand how these things works. Look at this. Look at the picture we have here. This is somebody saying, dear customer, due to BVN, whatever. I've said this earlier on. Call this number to activate. Some of these things will look too good or too real that you may not be able to differentiate, just like the way what's the other person name that says he could not see the difference between those 2 pages. You will not be able to differentiate. You feel they are the same thing, but they are not. It takes you to look intently and probably even go to that real website. And that's one of the things. Even when I host session around employability and soft skill, I tell them, before you go ahead to apply for any job, one of the things you want to do, go to their website. I mean, I've done review for a couple of persons. They want to, maybe they get an email from, send me the name of the company, I'll do 1 or 2 things and see. Do you even know that some of the way to even know some of this phishing, if you pay attention to, because you need to pay attention to every little details to be able to spot them. Even to colors, organizations have colors, no matter how big they are. KPMG have their color blue. Name any other company, they have like an official color. So if somebody is sending you an email, even from the email, you will know from the initials after the regards and okay, this is the card, you will know. For example, somebody is emailing you from KPMG after saying regards and the card showing the details of the person, designation, and all of that. You're not seeing anything that relates to KPMG color, for example. That's already a red flag. So what we are saying is that all this thing looks too good that you may not be able to spot that is legit or fake. So it now takes you to pay attention to every little details. And what are some of these things? You know, you want to know who is sharing this post. Is it somebody you know or somebody you trust? I mean, there was a time I could not get that picture here. There was a time there was this story about Empower sharing 25. In fact, there was a time they were saying, was it Buhari government was giving 25K to everybody on WhatsApp. People were trending. When I see things like that on WhatsApp, I just laugh. Because even like someone like me who has a strong background in finance and economic policy and all of that, I mean, how much is the country's worth that the country can afford to give everybody 25,000? Do we even have a database, a complete or accurate database of the citizens? We say we are approximately about 210 million people, but in actual sense, we know we are above that. Even the current issue around the minimum wage, where the government is saying they are going to add a provisional 25K. The question is where will those money comes from? Because the economy at the moment is not viable. Only if they want to go through what we call way and means. Through when you tell CBN to print more money. Let me not dive into that part. But what I'm trying to say is that it takes you need to know whether it's from somebody you know you trust, a colleague, a family member, or government, a trusted agency, before you go ahead. Try to gain, I mean, one of these things most of these online scammers do is that they try to gain your trust. They'll tell you do this, you don't have any issue, just do this, you get this. No, they say things that sometimes get some people emotional. You may want to let those students know. They'll tell you, if you don't do this, you may lose this. So if you don't act now, we can take over your house, things like that. They ask you for your personal information. That's how you spot them. Look at this one now. Due to BVN application compliance with CBN directive, it's the first thing to spot in this. The first thing to spot in this is that in the first place, your mobile banker will never send you a text message with this kind of mobile number and telling you to reach out to this kind of mobile number. It's not possible. That's the first red flag. If I see this, for instance, it's the first red flag. They can never. And if your bank will reach out to you, it's a professional relationship that they will not reach out to you to be telling you through text. Your bank has your email address. Your bank can call you with the official line and tell you this, not through something like this. So those are some of the red flags that, and we've had over time people falling victim for this on a daily basis. And why? Probably the economy is not friendly and all of that. I mean, you understand? So they ask for your personal information. In fact, they will tell you there's a promo of 90 to 95% off the cost. You know, I don't know, maybe because of the kind of background I have, I mean, the discipline I have. There's certain things that from an accounting perspective, when I see them or before I even check, I laugh. No company will offer you a promo to the tune of about 90 or 95% of their cost. It's not possible. Even 80% is rare to find. 70%, 60% is rare to find. I mean, there was a time Jumia was doing their 10-year anniversary, maybe last year or so. Let me know somebody now sending a post. Oh, you can now order on Jumia 95% off. Click a link. In fact, there are some links that you don't click link even from text. If not, you'll be compromising your information. Right? These things sound too good to be true. Somebody is saying they'll give you 90% on 95%. And the funniest thing is, don't forget when we started the online game, we were saying, how many of you share a message before you verify the authenticity you share? That habit game we started with is just to give an overview of everything we want to talk about. You can see how that is speaking to this now. So they will tell you things like that. Before you even click, you already know, no, this is a scam, right? They offer you something you need at that time. Because don't forget, before they will come to you as a target, like I told you earlier on, they have been studying you. If you go and watch that video, in fact, I recommend everybody to do that. If you have not, you see the video put out there by this Interpol on how they were able to monitor Hush Puppy and see some of the things he do and how they were able to catch him and all of that. So it takes a high level of technology to do that. Because even some top footballers, I can't even remember the name now, linked a particular football club, yes, linked a particular scammer and amount lost to him, to his activity then. I can't remember now. Right? So these are some of the things you want to be sure of. Now, to move very fast now, what are other tips? Right? I don't know why this thing. What are other tips you need to, look out for? You don't click links in email or text. You must ensure the website must have an S at the end of the HTTP. Yes. HTTP, the SJ is showing that it's secured. So when you are seeing websites where you are not even seeing HTTPS, you are seeing ordinary HTTP, is a number one red flag. And also their SSL, their TSL, their names for technology that keep HTTPS secured. Yes, they make sure that everything that is transmitted on it is encrypted. Right? So you can tell them to also watch out for words that are not spelled well. When somebody sends an email to me and say, oh, this company is reaching out to me, sending me offer. When I read the mail, these are some of the little things I look out for. Some words, are they well spelled? There are some words that, there are some things you should not see in a professional email. If you find them, you already know, no matter what they promise you. In fact, recently, I got an email, somebody telling me they are coming from China. I don't have access to my email through my WhatsApp here. I mean, through my, listen, I would have shared. I don't know if you have the time. I will share you the email just yesterday. We are coming to Nigeria. We got your details from LinkedIn, and we are trying to do an assessment of Nigeria to see how viable it is for what we want to do, looking at the insecurity and all of that. Can you help us with those things? I mean, the email was constructed very well, but just merely reading the email and looking out for one or two things, I didn't bother replying. Right? So these are some of the things you want to talk to them about. Then what is the next thing? We want to, okay, I think I've talked about, yes. Then you don't share your personal information and send information online like your BVN will overstress this, right? So those are some of the ways to also make sure that you don't fall victim for these guys. Then the next thing you won't teach them, because it's part of our curriculum, is fake news. I won't take much time on this. You know what fake news are, right? So have you ever, that was forwarded to you, to someone else? Have you ever forwarded something that was forwarded to you to someone else? I'm sure I've corrected this on the latest slide that I submitted, but I will look at it. But what we are trying to say is that if you have forwarded anything to anyone, if you don't even check the authenticity, once you get it, just forward it. So somebody told you it's time for Christmas now. They are selling Christmas chicken, 1 for 1,005. Just quickly call everybody in your house. Mommy told you quickly go to the market. So Christmas chicken is now 1,005 before it becomes 2,005 and you'll not be able to buy, right? So a lot of people do that. Have you shared the story or trending news on your Facebook or page or what? Yes, people do that. You just share a story or trending post without even validating that story. So when you're talking about fake news, it's a question of verification. This is a food for thought. This is Janet, for instance, that received a WhatsApp chat from a friend that tells him that, oh, for you to what do you call it? For you to be cured of Ebola, for instance, all you just need to do, I mean, this thing was flying around at a point in time. That's why I just picked it up. All you need to do is to put salt inside water, warm water, and take your bath with it. Then Ebola will disappear. I mean, some of us, if we can still recall those periods, you can remember what I'm saying. So this is Janet. So you may want to ask your audience, do you think the message is true? You'll get their thoughts. They will tell you, oh, I think it is. I think it is not. Some will tell you, do you think she did the right thing? Because Janet got it. Janet shared it to Mobolaji. It's what some of us do on a daily basis. When you get something, and it's not like you have a bad intention. You just saw it, you feel like it's something that can help a friend, you forward it. But what I'm saying is, as long as you are trying to help, don't try to help and create more problems. And how can you avoid that? It is a question of verification. You can tell them what fake news are, right? News that are not true, that are not 100%, secured. But what we are saying here is that is a question of what? Verification. You have to verify. As long as you are trying to help anyone, it's also important that you verify the authenticity of the information you're sharing, because in a way, it also speaks to your person. You should not be known for somebody among your friends that you just share anything. Anytime you share something now, they will even be saying, that thing Damilola, I'm sorry I'm using Damilola, it's just an example. That thing Damilola is sharing, please confirm. And so they always share anything. You have people like that on your chat list, that when they just see something, they just paste it for you. They don't confirm, they don't do anything. So what you want to teach them is that don't spread fake news. This is part of digital literacy. We're trying to make sure that these people are digitally literate and they use all this medium for what they are meant to. We don't use the online space to spread fake news. Don't be a purveyor of fake news, right? So verification is key. Find out what is it, confirm the information you'll be sending before you send it to others. Then you may want to share with them what are the other simple ways to identify fake news. Is important. As students, what are the things they need to look out for? You need to look at the person who write or send it. You need to ask yourself, why has this story been written? Why? Look at the example we gave earlier on about Ebola. Why has it been written? Who is the person who write or send it? Is that Ebola something? Is it coming from WHO, World Health Organization? So you want to question the source. You don't just get something and paste. At a point, they said I've said it before, Empower will be giving, is it 50,000 naira and all of that. You just see some WhatsApp that we include link, click this link to register. You don't want to do that. I'll still talk about it. I don't know if I included it here. You don't want to do that. Just pick any link and click. In fact, it's not advisable you click even links from tests. Naturally, no official company or official, anything that has to do with official that want to reach out to you, that they will go through the route of sending a link to you as a text message. Nobody does that. You understand? So you want to ask all these things. You ask yourself, why is this person sharing this news at this time? During the election period, you just hear, oh, do you hear that Tinubu now, they say one, Buhari, they say 1 year is spending in the 2 years. No, you want to ask, because sometimes too, the season we are in, sometimes too, can, especially in this part of the world, that's why we are trying to educate people. The season we are in too can contribute to the extent of the fake news we have people, putting out there, right? And that's why you see that successive governments, even the Buhari government, has been citing issues around regulating even social media. When somebody will go on Twitter and just say something that he or she has not verified, and before you know it is trending. And before you know it, it will cause people a lot of harm. So it's important. You ask yourself, who else is also reporting the story? Yes, you confirm the source. One of the things I do, if you share with me, oh, they send this to me. Another thing I want to do is to share the source. Who is authorized to share this information? I will go and find out. If this information, who is authorized to share it, for example, to share any information around, say, our economic outlook, for example, our inflation rate, I already know that the person authorized or the agency authorized to share inflation rate, our NPR, our GDP in the third quarter of 2023. I know already that the agency, responsible for that is NBS, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. So when I see someone sharing something that is not from NBS or is not even quoting NBS, I already know that by default within me, I know that the authenticity of that information is in question. So you want to take another thing you want to ask yourself, does this sound right? Is this sounding too good to be true? I give an example earlier on. Jimmy asking you to order and take off 90 or 95% off is a lie. Premium scalp, right? Check online if something is true. Right? Check online if something truly happened. Yeah, you can check. You can check pictures if it is real. If it is real, you can do that online. Yeah. In fact, there's some online source to do that. I intentionally did not include that because I feel like they are students and they may not need it. Then you can also watch out for false headlines. They just give you one headline. Especially even journalism of this is, that's one of the ways to catch people's attention. You just give one headline. Breaking news. President Tinubu slumped at the airports. You understand? People want to click and check. So we want to check what the headline is. Then I think the last thing we'll talk about, there's also one other thing I would like to talk about. I'll just chip that in on a lighter note, right? Because we are talking to students, it may not really be applicable to them. But this one is cyberbullying, right? Cyberbullying and harassment. Please hold on a second, please. I'll be back. Ending this session soon, please. Hold on a second. All right, guys. Thank you very much. So, cyberbullying and harassment, we know what that is already, but let's just take a look at what we have here. Many of you have sent comment like you are a failure. Yeah, this is common. We asked one of the line in the game we did at the start of this is you have been dragged before online or you have commented words like there's some people that what they do naturally online is just to drag people. Some of us have been victim of that. Just posted something, they just drag you. You post something and somebody will say you are ugly or you are a failure. You would have seen something like that on platform. Maybe if it doesn't even happen to us, it might have happened to somebody we know. How many you have seen people? Have you ever post an embarrassing picture of anyone online? You can ask them, they will tell you, those students, they tell you, yes, I did. One of my friends, I posted a picture when she was sleeping, when she opened her mouth while sleeping, and all of that. So it's just to kind of gain traction with them. Now look at this. All these things are just question of, look at this story now. This is story of an intake in a company who was added to a team, and look at the reaction of the people. Some say, hey, pot calling kettle black, hypocrisy at its best. This happens very well. For example, if you work in a company and you have a group, you always have people with their different idea, and they can so be embarrassing. I mean, how many of you have even seen a post online that somebody dragged you to the point that you feel like crying? I mean, you may want to ask some of these students. It happens, you know. We had worked in the banking sector before, not even dragging on. I'm just bringing this on a lighter note. There's something they do, they call NPR. Some banks do it every month, some do it every week. Like GT, they do it every week. At that NPR, you present to the board, right, what your team has done and how you have been able to help the bank's revenue. Do you know that at that NPR, some grown-up men cry at that NPR? Some grown-up men cry at that NPR. When somebody's sitting on the board, because everybody will be at that board meeting, both your superior and your subordinate, everybody will be there. You see one of them saying, look at you, as well as you are talking to them. Maybe the revenue generated, maybe you said the revenue you have generated from our team is maybe 100 million, and the anticipation of the board is maybe like 1 billion. You may not even know. Sometimes the anticipation is even ridiculous. They tell you, look at you, as old as you are. You wake up in your morning, you wake up in the morning from your house, 8 a.m., wear suits. Look at the suit, look at what you are bringing. Look at what you are bringing to you. As old as you are. You understand? They will say certain things that, I mean, I've seen old men crying at NPR. I cannot take those things, right? So these are some of the things when you just have, people saying things to you that, I mean, you cannot just even imagine somebody saying that to you. Yeah, somebody saying it's a joke, group with words. Please put her in this group so we can group her and groom her the right way. Somebody saying, someone can add that to this group. Someone is saying, is this one for me? Pot calling kettle black, hypocrisy at its best. So you can imagine. So that's part of what we are saying. So we want to educate them around cyberbullying. And what are we trying to say there? What is cyberbullying? It's when you use any of your online medium, to threaten or attack someone. To threaten or attack someone does not mean you have to attack them physically. Look at that one, pot calling somebody black or black pot or something like that. It's an attack on somebody's personality. Look at this picture. Somebody is calling the same person loser. Another person is saying stupid. Different reaction. So what we are trying to pinpoint out of the most important thing is how to handle it. Yes, anybody can be bullied. In fact, there was the statistics by UN, sometimes in 2020, across schools. And what they did at the end of the day for for countries that are under UN is now to have a platform where some of these cases can be reported, cases of cyberbullying. UN has that platform. You may want to find out after this call where you can report those things. So what we want to tell them is that cyberbullying can come anytime. People can call you anything, but the most important thing is how you will handle it. That's what is important. And the advice we give them is that don't fight back online or join others to drag someone. In fact, one came to my mind now, but I don't want to go that route, right? You can always use the report icon to report people on social media. So this thing is just like trying to digitally, educate these people. Use the report icon, even when people are saying, or somebody is saying what you feel is not to be said, you can report them. On Instagram, on Twitter, you can report them. Even on WhatsApp, when you are blocking the content, we ask you, why are you blocking? Maybe if it's a scam or is a spam or something, you can report them. So we want to tell them to use the report icon of the application in question. And we also want to tell them to be an upstander. Who is an upstander? An upstander is someone who writes positively for others who are being bullied online. Don't just be there when everybody is bullied. This person is a loser. You too, you join them. No, you are trying to educate the student that no, be an upstander. Don't be a bystander. Because a bystander is somebody that watch something happen without doing anything. But an upstander is somebody who responds positively. So what we are saying is that don't join others to bully others. The last thing I said I would have talked about that I did not include because they are students is how to now annex digital opportunities. How you can use some of this online medium to get opportunities and all. But I think it's outside the scope.
Again, I don't know if I'm the only one.
Will teach those students. So I think we have gotten to the end. If there's any question, and for anyone who wants to
Hello. Hello.
I'm not hearing him again.
Okay, ọmọ ìyá àgbà. Ẹ wo, èmi ò ráyè lọ́gbọ́n nọ́sẹ̀sì yẹn o. Tó bá dọ̀là máa kún wọn. Tó bá tàbá tí wọ́n fi kẹ̀ mọ́ mọ̀ pé àtijọ́ ń jà.
Do we have any question? Any question? Any question as we end this session? Any question, any question, any question, any question? All right, I want to assume that we don't have any question, but at the same time, I'm sure we are all on the facilitator group. If there's any question, any information, it will be communicated right in there. And if you have any question, please ask. We are all a team, and our goal is to make sure that we're able to deliver well on this project, and we train the students or the teachers, and they are able to learn something. It's important. So we also share this slide as well, if not this night, tomorrow, because I just spotted some few little adjustment. I'll just do, if not this night, tomorrow, we'll get the slide on the approval of the management. Once we get the slide, then we can go through it in anticipation for our various classes, and I'm sure they'll reach out to us. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. I don't know if Saifat has something to say, or good news, whoever is on the call has something to say. Good news, Saifat. Anyone on the call, do you have any other thing to say or to add? Okay, guys, please hold on. Let me just get Saifat or good news. Okay, I can't talk. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. You'll get further information on the group chat. Please stay glued to the group chat and respond to chat as you see them. And if you have any concern, please don't hesitate to put it down there. Thank you very much. Okay, somebody said I have a question relating to the schedule for the program, please. Okay, what we'll do is, Asana, what we'll do is the program will be shared with everyone on the group chat. Just anticipate. I hope that answers your question. Asana, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. But how soon are we going to be receiving it? Because it's quite a big determinant for my participation in the program.
Yeah, yes. I understand that. What I will do now is I'll get across to Saifat and good news. You should hear from us this evening or tomorrow. Just stay glued on the WhatsApp. And in case you don't hear anything, you can also put it out there as a